Hello and welcome to this week's Rotherham Advertisers Sports Chat podcast. Joining me around the table is Miller's correspondent David Beddows.
Hello.
And news editor Michael Upton.
Hello.
Well, gentlemen, we finally get to do a Sports Chat podcast talking about a Miller's win and a Neil Redfearn win as well, his first one as Rotherham manager. And could it have come at a better place, Dave, than Ellen Road, his former club, Leeds United?
Yeah, and another stat to add, the first win that Rotherham had at Ellen Road since 1962, way back in the day. And, it would deserve, the basis for Rotherham is to stay in games for 90 minutes and, take it from there. And they did that, and better than that, they got the noses in front. They rode the luck. Leeds missed 5-6 good chances. But, I think over the piece, Rotherham deserved it just for the resilience as much as anything.
He made a lot of changes, didn't he, Neil Redfearn? 9 changes to the
changes.
Starting line-up. How did that affect the game? Did it look like there were a bit more energy in the team, a bit of a refreshment?
I think the refreshment was in the age. We got Stephen Kelly at 32, Broadfoot 31, Buxton 31, Joe Matt at 25, really experienced back four, and then you bring Liam Camp in there as well. I think that know-how helped.
Yeah, it certainly seemed to. Michael, they kept the clean sheet, which is good for Rotherham, especially away from home. And not only that, but Joe Newell popped up back in the team and headed in the winning goal.
You couldn't have made up a better script, could you, really? It had the whole spirit of an FA Cup tie against the Premier League side, which is funny considering how far these have dropped. But we've been saying on this podcast for weeks that you start off with a clean sheet, you start off with solid defending, and they had a bit of, I like the old Alan Hansen grit and determination. There was a lot of that going on. They did ride the luck, but these clean cut chances that Leeds had, they weren't very close in. There's quite a lot from the edge of the box. Lee Camp earned his stripes, certainly, and Antonucci will be wondering how he missed a couple of those chances. But the chance came and they took it, and they haven't been doing that lately either. It's just ironic it happened to come from a midfielder and not from a striker.
Dave, there were a lot of points to prove out there on the day. Miller's players, one or two, could have had a point to prove to old manager Steve Evans, who was in the Leeds dugout. Neil Redfearn could have had a point to prove to Leeds owner Massimo Cellino for relieving him of his contract at the end of last season. But how much of a motivation will the car park fiasco be, as it is becoming known on fans forums and on the internet? Neil Redfearn refused a parking pass by Leeds United, and after the game called owner Massimo Cellino childish. Will that have just been one thing to spur him on a little bit more?
It might. It's just one more thing to throw at the players, isn't it, in the pre-match team talk. I know parking's tight at Leeds, but is it that tight? So, Neil got that. Cellino, if he's wanting to improve his PR image, it's not the way to do it, is it?
Frankly, if he wanted to improve his PR image, to be fair, much though we love him here in Rotherham, he wouldn't have hired Steve Evans as manager. The guy clearly just loves a bit of controversy. He likes publicity. He's one of those Oscar Wilde guys, isn't he? There's no such thing as bad publicity if you're a Cellino. And I think he will probably just be laughing about the fact he's got headlines or something like that. I think Neil Redfearn's probably forgotten about it now. We'll be looking at the next thing. Yeah. But it was given an extra thing to fire him up a bit more, and he'll be delighted because he's got, to be fair to Neil, he's got a lot of stick, and he has changed things. He's brought in old heads. The irony is that in weeks gone past they've been criticised for not having enough energy. He's brought lots of old stages in, and it wasn't the energy, it was the solidity, the reliability and the calmness that got them through.
Well, that personifies Neil Redfearn in a way, doesn't it, Dave? Because through the critics, a couple of fans booing at recent games and things like that, Neil Redfearn stayed so cool, and so calm, and just kept a level head about it, knowing that things will come good eventually. Well,
absolutely. Some managers doing what he'd done on Saturday, be bouncing off the stand roof. They'd be so pleased about it. But he don't get too low after defeats. He don't get too high after wins. And this is his first one. There's a steadiness about him, a calmness about him, and he needs time.
I think he'll be delighted with the win, but I think he'll be equally delighted if it's not unreasonable with a clean sheet, because they just don't get that many clean sheets, and to come off with Leeds 0 would have meant a lot to him.
I think that's right, and I think you've got to give credit here to the midfield as well, because they provided a good shield in front of that back four. You got Smalding there, Frecklinton who ran and ran and ran. There was a real solid base this time.
Let's move on to possibly one of the most controversial points of the game then. The double sending off. Leon Best making his debut for Rotherham. Adjudged to have swung an elbow at Berardi, the Leeds defender, who came out of it with a bloody nose and bloody shirt. But ultimately he jumped up and reacted by shoving Best to the ground, manhandled an assistant a little bit as well in there. He also got a red card. Dave, did you see the incident for one? Because I know Neil Redfearn said he didn't. And for two, Is there anything there for them to appeal, or was it a sending off for Leon Best?
I think it was a sending off. I mean, live, it wasn't immediately apparent. And then you sort of look back at it on the TV and then you're realising it was totally unnecessary from Leon Best. We'd had a decent game up to then. Rotherham were leading. I mean, you do see these things from strikers, don't you? Maybe experienced strikers doing that, and it got picked up. Berardi's reaction, I mean, it really was. He was out of
flipped,
control,
didn't
weren't
he?
He totally flipped. Despite people telling him, he ended up manhandling one of the officials, so they both had to walk. No other option.
There's no question that Berardi had to go. But what is Leon Best doing there? He's having a good game. He's a debutant. Let's not forget that he was a guy without a club. We're talking about players with points to prove. He's got to prove himself at this level. And all right, strikers might do that, but I don't understand why they do that. You can bully the defender without elbowing him in the face. And let's face it, the evidence was there with the blood all over Berardi's nose. I don't understand why you would do that. Anyway.
Steve Evans' comments after the game, he indicated that he spoke to the officials and they told him that Best was being reported for 2 offences, the initial elbow and for a lunge with his head towards Berardi in the aftermath of that. So you would think, Dave, that an appeal is going to be unlikely to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, Berardi's got up and shoved Best to the ground, hasn't he? So he's probably reacting to that. I mean, all hell broke loose. There was so much going on. There were players involved left, right and centre. So I think this is going to rumble for a day or two.
I think you're asking a bit much if you expected a striker to apologise to the fans, but he should have apologised to all his teammates after that, I think.
Well, it was fairly lucky that it didn't affect the game too much. I mean, if Rotherham had gone on and lost that game 2-1, he wouldn't be the most popular man in the dressing room, would he? Right, let's move on then. Just to round up this week's podcast, I look forward to Bristol City at the New York Stadium, back at the New York Stadium on Saturday, and Dave, a real chance for Rotherham to get 2 wins on the bounce, a little bit of momentum going, and really hope to kick on.
It is exactly. I mean, Bristol are down near the bottom, aren't they? I mean, we're a bit sobering to look at the table, although we're off the bottom, to see a 3-point gap still to the team above. So Bristol at home, and then another full week before we play Wolves. So, you know, if we can nail 4 points from the next 2, we're getting a bit of momentum going, aren't we?
Michael, is it Kieran Aagaard coming back to the New York Stadium for Bristol? He scored last weekend. Talk about points to prove. Could he have a big point to prove?
Well, I think there's a possibility there, but I think maybe Rotherham got the point to prove that he wasn't right to leave, that he should have stuck with the Championship side. I said at the time I thought it was a backward step for Kieran Aagaard dropping down division after the best season he'd ever had. He's now got himself up to the Championship. His side is struggling a bit more. Was it worthwhile in moving on? The irony now, of course, is that after last weekend, Rotherham's away record was better than the home record, so the home record's got to be able to catch it up to him. I think we've got to... it's the old thing about taking each game as it comes. You look to Wolves, and I think that's a mistake. I think they need to get another solid performance under their belts against Bristol City. Another clean sheet would be great. Another win, and we can start being optimistic again, just like we were before Steve Evans left.
And Dave, there's shouts from fans that he put out arguably the strongest 11 that fans see it that way. Obviously, well, likely there'll be no Leon Best, but do you envisage too many changes at home, or do you think he's going to try and get it settled now? I
think he'll try and get it settled, won't he? I mean, Best is going to be missing, so that maybe open the way for Derbyshire to come back. So we're going to have to see how it develops from there. I mean, it's a match Rotherham need to win, and I'm backing him to win it on Saturday.
Right, gentlemen, we'll leave it there for today. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you at home for subscribing and listening in on the match out every Monday lunchtime straight into your inbox. Make sure you pick up Friday's copy of the Rotherham Advertiser for all the preview pieces, the interviews, the stats that matter. Looking forward to the Bristol City game. Thank you once again for listening.